How's it going, Vigilantes? Welcome to my Arrow Season 7 Episode 1 review. It is finally here, my most anticipated CW show, to be honest, out of The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow and everything else. Even though I'm huge fans of everything else, it's just the premise and the storyline that has been set up leading into Arrow Season 7 has been personally the most exciting for me in terms of finding out what the heck is going on after Oliver goes to prison. So I'm going to dive straight into this breakdown, guys, but I will also discuss quickly that Superman black suit crossover picture towards the end of this video because that just popped out last night, and there's going to be more crossover stuff to come because it is filming right now, so oh my god, it's going to be insane. But other than that, subscribe to this channel if you want to stay up to date with more Arrow stuff just like this, and be sure to leave a like on it if you do enjoy it. So whether it was from San Diego Comic-Con or all the other trailers, what we did see in those trailers and stuff like that was Felicity running throughout the woods away from Diaz. And this was like that typical Arrow intro to every season where Oliver, or they would kind of mimic Oliver running through the island, and that is exactly what happened with Felicity. And what we did learn is that it was Oliver's fears, because since he's in prison, he's completely, helpless, or he just can't protect Felicity. If anything, the best thing that he can do for his family is just keep his head down. But when stuff happens throughout this episode, and I'm sure you know what I'm on about, and we'll get to that, oh man, like it completely would F with your mind, and it does with Oliver's. Now, I absolutely loved that prison montage we kind of got at the beginning, whether that was just Oliver walking throughout the halls and everyone staring at him, because if you think about it, he is the goddamn Green Arrow. If you're like in prison, chances are you're likely one of the guys who have been put in there by him, or you just may look at him in awe because he's, as I said, the Green Arrow. It really just highlighted Oliver's struggle, especially like when you see Brick and Bronze Tiger freaking, shove into him in the showers, or as I said, everyone's staring at him and just the guards waking him up every morning saying, "Good morning, inmate 4587, blah, 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 blah." It's just like, screw you, guard. Now, what we did hear before all of this as well from Stephen Amell himself is that there is nothing heroic about Oliver in this episode, and he couldn't be more true. Because at the beginning already we met Stanley, which we've seen from the trailers too, and we were wondering how he would specifically play into the role. I was thinking maybe this would be an example of Oliver's unheroicness. Maybe he will let him get beat, and that is exactly what happens in this episode, because he goes to Oliver first of all asking for protection, but Oliver is just like, no. He was essentially just like, leave me alone, and that does come back to haunt Oliver later, but I'll talk about that in a bit. There was also some Bronze Tiger and Brick scenes fighting Oliver already, even though Bronze Tiger got put in the isolation place. I can't remember, is it called like the Hole? Which I'm pretty sure where Oliver is going soon, which is going to be that little, I'm sure it's displaying on screen right now, where he's sat in that room, because Stephen Amell did tease that there would be a whole episode set within one room. So, yeah, must be that place, I assume. We had good old Diggly Doo Day visit Oliver in prison, and I really like this scene. Obviously, two brothers right there, and, Oliver is obviously struggling and trying to just say that he's keeping his head down. Diggle, it seemed very concerned about him, as you would as a friend. But it's more to the point that Diggle just points out that he's never been good with not being in control, or like, you've always had to do what you've had to do. And I really like that line where Oliver says, well, I've always done what I've had to do, and this is like basically what I have to do, and that is staying in prison. Oliver would definitely not put up with that normally, but he is always fueled by what he has to do, and that is just staying in to try and reduce his sentence and just completely keep his head down. So really cool little moment between Diggle and Oliver there. In the meantime, we learn that Felicity is a barista. What is it with like our characters becoming baristas? If you remember Hawk Girl, I'm sure the memes will come out with Felicity as well now. More on this later, I guess. As for Renee, and I remember pointing this out in the trailers, it was very quick what we saw of Renee. It seemed like he was teaching in self-defense class, and that is the case, which I thought was really cool. Renee, out of everyone really, even out of Curtis and Dinah, wants to be back on the streets and helping the fight and keeping the fight on, as he says in this episode. That's what Oliver wanted them to do. Obviously, as all of us Arrow fans know, we got that new Green Arrow Archer, or copycat Archer if you will, and Renee doesn't really want to stop him, because a kid in his class did make the point of how the Glades are rough and blah blah blah. After that, a short time after the Green Arrow copycat Archer came around, it's giving the kids hope again, and that is what Renee wants to get out on the streets, or if anything, Dinah shouldn't be pursuing this Archer. It definitely does kind of cause this interesting tension between Team Arrow already, between just Renee and Dinah, because there's going to be more to come, because Diggle's in Argus, and he's not going to be helping out like Felicity when she really, as we know in this episode, wants to go full ham against Diaz, but I'll get to that later. But already, Dinah wants to just do her job. I get that. You know, if they do go out in their vigilante suits, they will kind of completely get rid of their immunity deal. And, you know, it is complicated because they both kind of have valid reasons there. Black Siren, of course, we got that statement as we saw in all the trailers saying, you know, absolutely this person I can say with 100% certainty is not Oliver Queen because he's in, you know, freaking Slabside. And, you know, it kind of made me laugh. I think we've all pointed this out, how Black Siren's Laurel is learned all of this law stuff, you know, or at least is, you know, really trying to make it off as she's learned all of this stuff in 5 months. I'm guessing she's smart. All the people of Earth 2 seem to be. I mean, if you remember the Harrison Wells, you know, Jesse Quick, they have like 50 degrees or something like that, or doctors, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with her character. This seems to be the season of all seasons ever since she's been introduced to kind of let her go towards Team Arrow in a redemptive kind of arc. Now, what about Curtis? Well, he's the head of R&D at Argus, so it looks like Dig and Curtis will be kind of going rogue from Team Arrow. I mean, because they will both be obviously asked to come and help Felicity take down Diaz. And I remember in the trailer, Curtis was just like, you know, I gave up the blah, blah, blah ever since Oliver went in prison. So it seems that he really, I think at least at first, kind of like Diggle, will not want to help them out. He does help Dinah out with who the person, the copycat Archer is after, the black market dealer. I did appreciate that comment from Wild Dog at Argus, where he was just like, my money was on John for being that copycat Archer because they're trying to figure out who he is. It's just like a funny little thing because we're all the fandom is like, is it John? Is it Roy? Is it freaking this person? Is it that person? And not only that, we all know how much Diggle freaking loves being the green, you know, the Green Arrow. How funny would it be if he was actually under that hood? I'm not saying he's under that hood. But anyway, kind of accelerating forward, Dinah did get that lead of Curtis, so they kind of went to surround the new copycat Archer, but he got away. And that was all really cool scenes. I really loved how all of this was shot. We saw that kind of really cool flip and sling with the bow that the copycat Archer did. All awesome stuff. Renee was there in his Wild Dog mask because he got inspired that is the right thing to do. This Archer, even though he seems to be killing people, is giving people hope again, and that was enough to get Wild Dog in the suit and actually help him get away. Now, essentially, Dinah was not happy with this at all and was even going as far as saying that she would literally arrest Wild Dog if he pulls any shit like this again, which is like, seriously, Dinah, seriously? It is going to be very complicated, and it's going to be interesting to see what inspires Dinah to get back in the costume as well. Now, going back to some prison stuff, we saw Brick actually approach Oliver because he needed some help with some stuff that Bronze Tiger couldn't help with because now he's been taken away, as we knew earlier. But obviously, if caught, this would only completely screw with Oliver's time, and they even threatened Stanley if he didn't pull through. And this really did highlight how, you know, there was nothing heroic about Oliver in this episode, and it would even shock Green Arrow fans, according to Stephen Amell. And that is all because he was like, you know, I don't care, like, basically do what you want to Stanley because I'm not going to do or cater to what you want to do, Brick. And so they beat Stanley to a pulp. Quite literally, that guy got battered. I just honestly felt like in this moment of the episode, they really did such a great job of showing how kind of far Oliver has fallen. You can really see this when Stanley's like hobbling back to his cell, which is next to Oliver's. Oliver inquires after him, and he was just like, why do you care? And it was really sad, to be honest. Like, Stanley, the actor who plays Stanley, did a really good job there. Stanley even goes as far as saying that it makes sense why there's a new Green Arrow out there because the old one is a coward. And not only does this like foreshadow that end of the episode where Oliver is not taking any kind of crap, but it really does show you at that moment in time how like kind of deep that cut Oliver, because it, you know, it wasn't easy for him, I'm sure, to like let that happen to Stanley. And at borderline, I bet that he even regrets doing what he did and allowing Stanley to get attacked. Now, going back to Felicity, she got attacked by Diaz, which is something that we all thought was coming. It was quite a cool scene. I was thinking for a second, like, no way, Felicity, are you actually going to try and actually get out of this through hitting him with that little freaking stick or whatever she had? And I was like, man, please, like, as cool as that kind of was, I was like, if he actually honestly gets beat, that it wouldn't make any sense. He's the freaking dragon. But no, they did that massive wrestling slam into the table. Like, that fight was really cool. Like, you don't actually see Felicity get involved in actiony kind of stuff, if like ever really. This coincided with the shower scene, the combat scene, which we've been very much so looking forward to ever since we saw that first trailer for season 7. My god, was this such a brutal scene. I really loved it. I really want to see more stuff like this. But these guys were Diaz's men, and they ultimately wanted to send a message to Oliver saying, Diaz says that blah 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 blah, your wife is dead. And imagine being like, I really felt for Oliver in this moment, because you know, especially when he wanted to inquire to the guard about getting a phone call. Like, imagine hearing that in Oliver's mind. That was a statement. So she's already dead. He doesn't even have the privilege to make a phone call. Just put yourself in those shoes for a second. Like, you would be ripping your hair out about, like, you just couldn't do anything about it. And I thought Stephen Amell's acting in those moments where he was portraying, like, his worry there was fantastic. It really did show how hard that would be. Now, goodbye William off to Cambridge kind of made me low a little bit, just because like they're brushing him out of the show for a time being until they deal with Diaz. Interesting news as well, I should have said this maybe earlier, but I guess this fits. Diaz has been up to more of a series regular, so he's going to be sticking around. So I don't know if we'll see William again. I mean, maybe, but if he's away until Diaz is like apprehended by Team Arrow, then he might not be coming back for quite a while. He got given the Hosen necklace, and we found out, because I couldn't remember for the life of me where or who had that, but Thea gave it to Felicity, because, you know, Oliver gave it to her, and she gave it to William, just as a little kind of, here you go, kid. Blah, 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 blah. We had this really emotional scene of Oliver, you know, naturally after what I just said, he got a visitor, which was Felicity, who we saw all bruised up from her fight with Diaz. It was like a really emotional scene, because not only was he like really worried and felt like powerless, seeing her and knowing he couldn't help her or be there to protect her, but it was obviously very relieving at the same time, because she's a lot. I thought it was a pretty stupid comment though when she was like, do you know what it's like to not be able to protect your family? I was just like I know Oliver's in freaking prison, dude. Like, what? Oliver's prison scene at the end was totally badass. We're basically getting the beginnings of our Oliver back, where he's not putting up with any shit now. He might still try and keep his head down a little bit, hoping that this means that Oliver, you know, it's jeopardizing at the same time for him keeping his head down and getting out earlier. But will he be like this? You know, if Brick and everyone else tries to still fight him, or whoever, will he bash their heads in too? But that was just so good, seeing the guy we know and love come out again and just being like, you should have freaking killed me when you had the chance. Now, going back to those flash forward scenes, now this was something seriously cool. You know, obviously we saw William, because we know that it's William, but he was going to the island on the boat, which was really intriguing to see at first. He saw Robert Queen's grave marker. That kind of like gave you a little foreshadowing that maybe he's related to this person. What is going on here? But when we saw him get in the trap, I actually didn't capture that was Roy, but I was like, who the hell is under that, and who the hell is in the future, or like, you know, on the island? Obviously this moment picked up later on in the episode, where he speaks to the mysterious Archer, and he says, used to know my father, and the keyword's being used to there. Like, so Oliver at this point in the future, I assume, is dead. Like, because that is past tense, so like used to. And then like took the hood off, and it was an old man Roy. Like, freaking amazing, really cool. And you have to think that the copycat Archer, you know, is kind of Roy, but I think the surprising element here, even though that everyone was thinking that anyway, is that this kind of flash forward scene is Roy too. So that's really cool. I'm suspecting they might be kind of doing this kind of Connor Hawke kind of thing with William, where they may be setting up a story arc for him to be like the new protector of Star City, or the new Green Arrow by the end of the show. I don't know. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts there. Why is Roy living on the island? Like, is that kind of time all hopeless and abandoned, and Star City is completely useless, and like he's kind of gone away, like how in Legends of Tomorrow Oliver Queen had given up in the future? Is it that kind of thing? But overall, guys, episode was great. Solid first episode back into the season. Set up some great stuff. Saw some amazing action. Really emotional scenes. Great acting all around. It was really, really cool. Now, as for that Superman picture from the crossover, that is very interesting. I'm not sure if you guys have all seen this yet. You probably have. But don't forget that the crossover is called Elseworlds. Now, we were all initially thinking this might be our characters, but in different stories outside the traditional Arrowverse canon. But then there was like talk of that, no, they are keeping the same characters, but they are dressed the same. So I'm not sure there, but maybe the Superman is different. The most pop-out moment is the fact that's the black Superman suit. There's already memes online saying how the DCU can't do the black Superman suit, but the Arrowverse can, and like they're actually doing it. Say what you will about the suit, I think it's fine. Like, obviously, it's not like the freaking like most amazing thing in the world, but it does the job. I think it's maybe being a bit too picky if you're criticizing this Superman suit. If you liked the Superman suit from Supergirl, practically is the same, just black and silver. Has this Superman or other Superman been through the Death of Superman arc and, risen in this black suit? I have no idea. Yes, if he has, he's missing the mullet and the beard, but who cares? Whatever. Make of this what you will, guys, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But other than that, everybody, if you like this video, be sure to like it and leave a comment as well telling me what you thought of the episode, and be sure to subscribe if you're brand new for more Arrow videos and updates just like this. Links, as always, are in the description down below to follow me and stuff like that. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you vigilantes in the next video. Goodbye.